and your Facebook Live feed. Am I good?
Yeah, you're right there. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. Michael here, joined by Bernie Deal as always, and you're listening to us on the WBGR Sports Network, on WBGRsports.com, and on Facebook at facebook.com/WBGR Sports Network, and on facebook.com/TXHT Hockey. Yes, we have changed it so that way people can stop trying to spell out the entire name and me going, no, there's no E in Experience. So I did the update to that, and also you can listen to us on the WBGR app, which is available on both iTunes and Google Play. And Bernie, while I mess with social media, take us away, good sir.
All right, well, we are back doing our thing again this week, and indulge me for a minute or two. I don't want to bring the show down per se. I like being excited and all, but I'm driving in this morning and I heard that an icon in Washington, D.C. news has gone to the heavenly news desk in the sky. Jim Vance, for over 45 years, has been the iconic voice of news in this town. And I was glad to see that Ben's Chili Bowl was able to do a mural for him, like pretty much putting him in this, in relevant status that he only deserves. And growing up watching NBC News with Jim Vance and Dorian Gensler, Bob Ryan, and George Michael and Archie Campbell on NBC, it was something that it was must-see TV. Before social media and all the internet and everything, you got all your news. You had to go at 5, 6, or 11 and watch the actual news, or go to a newspaper. It was something that it was almost appointment television. You set your schedule around it, and the chemistry with Jim Vance and George Michael was something that drew me to doing stuff when I did my radio show in college, and also doing various radio bits with various sports stations in the area, and now doing this with Michael. It definitely brings it full circle. And when George Michael passed away, I was definitely heartbroken, because just the way he presented sports, it was, all the people that have come after him, the Lindsey Zarniaks of the world, have really transcended sports to this next generation, while also keeping that old school feel of how to do things. And just the way, if Jim Vance needed to convey something, people listened. But he also had that jovial spirit that he loved everyone he came in touch with. I never got the chance to meet Jim Vance, but some of my co-workers and other people that I hold in high respect have, and could not say anything but great things about Jim Vance. And I just wanted to start the show with that and say thank you, Jim Vance, for everything you've meant to this town, and for all those people who have a dream to carry on in your footsteps. Listening to radio as I was coming in, like I said, Carol Maloney was on one of the other sports channels and was in tears. Gordon Peterson, who was his contemporary over at Channel 9, it was nothing but warm and complimentary, and had a high regard and respect for Jim Vance. So thank you guys for indulging me that couple minutes. There's not many people that deserve that iconic status, but in this town, Jim Vance is one of those guys.
Yeah. And also, real quick, we also have Suds from the DCHL here. Welcome, Suds. We got some championship games to discuss.
Great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity again.
And we'll be talking. Why are you doing this to me? Don't you just love Facebook Live?
Technology, huh?
I'm trying to do my job. Russell, hi, how you doing, buddy? Give us a call during the third segment, all right? So, Russell Hartman from the New York Rangers blog Full Tilt. So, yeah. So, definitely sad news about Jim Vance this morning.
Quick question: was it sudden, or was he already?
He had cancer.
Know.
He announced a couple months ago he had cancer, and it must have just come on quickly, or he it was advanced stage. I mean, George Michael and Glenn Brenner, two of the iconic sports voices of this town, both passed away also due to cancer. And that C word has claimed many person. And of course, we're all on a life sentence here. We have to make the most of what we have here because we have something better waiting for us on the other side of the gates. But we aren't going to go too much into that this morning.
This is not the gloom and doom show.
No, we have a lot of great people on the WBGR network, the Believe in God Radio, as the letters state. So there's a lot of programming due to that, but we also have our basis there as well. But we are on hockey, and we're talking about different things in the NHL and all things.
What are your thoughts on Gordon Bombay leaving the Ducks for the Iceland chick? Okay, Suds, what is your thoughts on Gordon? It is a hockey question.
It is. My thoughts are you need to get a life.
I think they haven't finished the movie either.
Yeah. Did you finish the movie?
Watch the rest of the movie.
Watch the rest of D2, The Mighty Ducks, please.
And see who really hooks up at the end.
Thank you for the question, Jolene. But going on to a more serious... Actually, you know what? Actually, that's a great thing. Real quick, on the ride up, Dixon was asking me, he's like, so what are we going to record for the August 5th episode because we're not going to be on the air? And I was like, well, I don't know. Guess what? Thank you, Jolene. We're going to be talking about hockey movies now on August 5th. So, Bernie, you're welcome to join and talk about hockey movies because I know there's a lot of great movies. And there's probably movies that you've seen that I haven't.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
share the knowledge.
I'll just give a teaser. A Miracle's definitely near the top of the list.
But that's definitely
with connotations that we all love as hockey purists. So.
But there is a reason why Suds is here. Normally if we bring you in, there's a reason. One, tomorrow is the championship games in the DCHL.
It is.
Which my team is not playing in.
What a shocker.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that in a moment.
Someone predict that, by the way? Did someone predict that?
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a moment because you called it an upset, but when you look at it and you sit down and you really look at it, it's not really an upset. But but we'll talk about that in the next segment. 1 seed
lose to a 5, that's an upset in the books. That's an upset. The way you call it.
But yeah, we'll see.
And defeated team, by the way, as well, too. Yeah. That's an upset.
And we had 2 ties. Or 1 tie.
Anytime a 1 seed loses before the championship round.
That's upset.
But anyways, but the other reason is that what a lot of people don't know is that I host the DCHL Leafs Game Center show on public access television, which is a show that you produce. I host. And also you are the resident Washington Capitals troll.
I'm the resident Washington Capitals, objective analyst, I'll put it that way. There's a lot of people here who are kind of colorblind. So, yes, I do that as well, too. So, I'm always willing to chip in on the Washington Capitals if need be.
Yeah. Well, let's direct away from that to a place that you actually have. I know you guys could probably go into GCHL in the second segment.
We're doing that second segment.
With you have a passion for New York Islanders.
Yes, I'm an
And the big $1 million question I'll get you while you have you here is John Tavares. They finally got him a legit number 1 wing.
Kind of.
Jordan Eberle in the right system is a 40-goal scorer. So mark my words on that. If they can create any sort of magic from when they played together for Team Canada, that could be the underrated move of the year in the NHL. But what's your feeling on where did Tavares move? I mean, eventually it's a no-brainer. They should sign him. But where do you see the Islanders fitting how the timeline is to get this thing done?
Well, first of all, Jordan Eberle, John Tavares made Pierre Parenta look like a 35, 40-goal scorer, made Matt Molson look like a 30-goal scorer. So he has a history of making good forwards look great on his line. So Jordan Eberle, with the talent level he's got, he should be a great fit for the Islanders. So that's going to be a great matchup for the Islanders. And to be able to get him for a player who was struggling, Ryan Strome, in a salary cap dump really for the Avalanche, it was a great coup for GM Gard Snow. I thought it was a great deal. I thought we had to give up more to get Jordan Eberle. We did not, so that worked out well for the Islanders. John Tavares will sign. I read up on the Islanders every day. I'm very well versed in what's going on in that particular team, and it's just a question of time. That both sides are being patient. John has said over and over again he's not leaving the Islanders. There's no rush to it. And right now, Gardstone's job is to get him a second, maybe get a second forward, maybe a Matt Duchene type player, and look at maybe a goaltender as well too. So he's working on that. So I'm very excited about the Islanders. They lost a couple of players last year in Calaposo and Franz Nielsen, who are very underrated, and that hurt the team last year. They missed the playoff by only 1 point. This year, they're to me pencil for the playoffs. As long as Halak and Grease hold up, we'll be okay in the playoffs, I think.
Like one thing I'll have to say about Ryan Strome is, yes, he struggled, but I think he'll do a lot better in Edmonton with Connor
No pressure.
McDavid.
There's no pressure on him now.
Yeah, he won't have the pressure on him to be the young guy coming up. But the other thing is that Jordan Eberle has been mostly a bust with Edmonton, because when he was first brought in, he was the beginning of all those first-round picks that they started bringing in. And he was supposed to be the guy, then it became Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, then it was Neil Yakupov. Now, obviously, they have Connor McDavid, Taylor Hall.
Right.
Now they have Connor McDavid, and Connor McDavid is the guy to really carry the torch for that team. Could Eberle be the answer for the Islanders and Tavares? Maybe, but I don't know. Honestly, I think Edmonton got the better of the trade of the two. I think they're getting a young kid who's going to get but one way or the other, both teams, both guys are getting it was a 1-for-1 deal. Both of them are going to get fresh starts. But I think the fact that Strome isn't going to have the stress on him, he's probably going to win out on this one, rather than Eberle, who's going to have a lot of stress.
Now, if I may jump in here, I've seen Ryan Strome play for 3 years now. Okay, the kid needs to elevate his game. He's had 3 years to elevate his game. He's very inconsistent, doesn't play the physical game. I am not sold on Ryan Strome personally. Okay, to be even a top 9 forward at this point. Now, he's young, he's got time, maybe a change of city will help him out. His contract's pretty cheap. Great. Now, on the flip side, I agree with you. Eberle's not a slam dunk lock deal. However, his contract's only for 3 years, so the odds are only for 3 years. So, it's not like they have a long-term commitment.
Buyouts are an amazing thing.
Yeah, but even forget the buyouts. The 3 year, I think you did 2 or 3 years up on a contract, $6 million a year. So if he fails in 2 years, they won't resign him. It's not a big loss.
You want to talk about like contracts and stuff like that? We're talking about like the Marcus. A while back we were talking about the Marcus Johansson trade to New Jersey for those draft picks.
Not a fan of that trade.
And I'm a fan of the moving of Johansson. I'm not a fan of what we got in return.
I agree with that.
But the thing, because now this opens the door for Andre Burakovsky and Tom Wilson to be top 6 guys like they should be, and it will give them the opportunity that they will be able to do this. But especially that Tom Wilson had a really good playoffs. And I know you disagree, but that's fine. But the thing is, though, is that but the funny thing is, I talk to my dad a lot about hockey, especially when it comes to the Flyers, but because that's all he wants to talk about. But my dad brought up an interesting point. New Jersey still has not done a thing to help their defense at all. So they have Taylor Hall, he's your main goal scorer. Now you have Marcus Johansson, who will probably be your on the top 6. He won't probably be top 3. And you have Corey Schneider. Marcus Johansson's in the last year of his contract, so you might be seeing Marcus Johansson move at the trade deadline next season.
I like what New Jersey did because, first of all, they had to give up their top defenseman to get Taylor Hall. Okay, and that was a step backwards. Okay,
yeah,
and they've got to.
It was a step backwards and a step forwards at the same time, because you need goal scoring in order to in this league, but at the same time you need defense. When you look at the New Jersey Devils defense compared to a New York Islanders defense, the Islanders have a much better defense than the New Jersey Devils. No. Well, look at real quick.
Take a step back with losing Hamonic.
You lost Hamonic, that hurt, but you still have a Dennis Seidenberg. You still have a Calvin. You still have a Calvin DeHaan. You have more potential on your blue line than the New Jersey Devils do. The Devils have Andy Green, unless they bought him out finally. But Andy Green is a minor league defenseman, not even a 7th defenseman on a Stanley Cup winning team.
Devils aren't ready yet. I mean, you have to give them time, because they're slowly building pieces together. It's a 3-year project. I think they need 1 more year before they can start spending on defensemen. So they're going to play young guys. They're going to play Taylor Hall. They got Marcus Johansson.
And they got that new kid, Nico Heischler.
They got the number 1 pick in the draft too.
Yeah, the number 1 pick, Nico Heischler.
They'll be okay. I'm not going to get on GM Ray Shero's bandwagon.
Shero's going to need more time. He
needs more time.
In 1 full year with the organization, he's gotten Taylor Hall, the number 1 draft pick overall.
It's a steal trade in my mind still.
And Marcus Johansson. And honestly, Adam Larson paid big dividends for the Edmonton Oilers. That, once again, that was, he has 2 years left?
Yes, he has 2 years at $4.63 million.
All right, so in his second year,
you want to trade him ahead of time. You see some of these trades, like Panarin was 2 years away from free agency.
Big contract.
This is why Chicago Blackhawks are, in my estimation, the premier organization. They know They know they're going to be up against the cap every year, but they still have a way of making sure that they are ahead of the game somewhat. They were able to bring Patrick Sharp back for pennies. I mean, if they get anything out of Patrick Sharp, we're reuniting with Kane or Taze, that's golden. I mean, they got Brandon Saad from Panarin, added 2 years to a similar contract. So instead of 2 years away from free agency, you have 4 years away from free agency for a guy that crashes the net, something the Blackhawks were missing in the playoffs. So it's just little things like that. And going back to the Islanders, I think Ryan Pollock is going to be a breakout guy to watch this year.
Let's hope so. He's a power play guy. He's off defense. We're going to see with a lot of power play points as well.
Cannon of shot. But with New Jersey concerned, David Severson is going to be a year older. He's another one of those Kelowna guys. You know, we talk about the Kelowna factories, and another one of those guys that is maturing. Kyle Palmieri has scored 20, 25 goals the last couple of years. He's been a very good complementary player. Like you said, Sud, Ray Sherrow is building. Albany had a good year in the AHL. They're building from within, and now I think they're moving to Binghamton next year. So they're going to be the Binghamton Devils or something like that. So.
If I may jump in, your point again, the trade with Marcus Johansson. The thesis from GM Brian McLaren was we didn't want to take any players back in return. I bet different on that one. You need a defenseman. Could you not get a defenseman prospect or get a defenseman return for a lower contract?
I would have got look at the Caps' depth though, especially in Hershey. I mean, right now your top 4 defensemen are going to be John Carlson, Matt Niskin, Dmitry Orlov, and Brooks Orpik. Orpik is the veteran guy who's won a cup, who will be used as a mentor for the young guys who are going to be coming up. Your number 1 pairing is going to be Matt Niskanen and Dmitry Orlov. Your second pairing is going to be John Carlson, whatever young kid you bring up, which could be a Madison Bowie, a Christian Jews, someone like that, or a Tyler Lewington, you know. And then your third pairing is going to be Brooks Orpik with, again, another young guy, one of those 3 guys. Or you still also have Taylor Chorney on another year left on his contract. Maybe you give Taylor Chorney that opportunity. You bring one of the young kids up as a 7th defenseman, and you have him and Taylor Chorney rotate maybe other game or something, so the kid gets a lot of playing time still. So, you know, on the Caps, on the defensive side, they have a lot of prospects because McPhee, when he was still GM, and even McClellan, they drafted a lot of defensemen. We got that kid, blanking on his first name, Lucas Johansson, Ryan Johansson's younger brother. He's coming up. I think he's going into the AHL this year for the first time. So the Caps have a lot of, you know, young depth, like the Islanders, in the works, getting ready to come up to the Washington Capitals.
And here's my concern. If you're a Caps fan, okay, this team is still being built for the playoff run, and to be able to put in 2, maybe 3 defensemen into a rotation and expect a playoff run, to me, is asking a whole lot.
They're not going to be the top team in the Metro Division.
Even the playoff run, you know,
I think honestly they can get the 3rd seed in the Metro, or they'll be a wild card team. If they're a wild card team, let's hope they go into the Atlantic Division.
There's some that, you know, I believe that the Caps aren't a lock for the playoffs. But they're not a lock for the playoffs right now. We'll see how it plays out.
I think the Caps are more of a lock than certain other teams in our division.
That's fair enough.
So. But with that,
tough division.
But with that, we are going to go to a quick break, and when we return, we'll be talking about the DCHL Championship games.
Sounds good.
Why don't you flip-flop so you guys can talk DCHL. Yeah, because the longest time the Caps had forward prospects, but not much in the D pipeline, because in the Borden, Perot, Giroux, all those guys, it was so forward heavy. Now they're D heavy. Connor Hobbs, Colby Williams, there's a bunch of guys that are going to be in that.
Maybe it's me, but those guys that you guys mentioned, I know when I read my hockey blogs, my prospects, they don't come up very high.
Jews is going to be in that.
Jews, that's the guy I hear about.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Experience Hockey Talk, Serious Hockey Talk for serious hockey fans, where we also want to thank the bands Crimson Orchard and I Shine for letting us use their music on the show. Human Chess is the intro music by Crimson Orchid, and various songs, which I can't remember every song that I put into the queue by iShine, but definitely thank you to Johnny Young Bosch, who many would also know as the second Black Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He is actually the lead singer of the band.
Trivia question to be
used at a later time.
Exactly.
But real quick, we want to we're going to shift focus from NHL talk to DCHL talk. Now, we alluded, my team, the Street Sharks, not going to be in the championship game. We actually were felled by the First Ladies, right?
Vanquished by.
No, we weren't vanquished. We fell to them, but so we'll start off with that. The first, in the rec division, we will have the First Ladies versus Crazy Eights. Crazy Eights defeated Gwendolyn Knights, who were the defending champions, the number 2 seed. First Ladies Rec defeated the Street Sharks, the number 1 seed, and which was actually, from what I heard, in the Crazy Eights Gwendolyn Knights game, Gwendolyn did not have as many scoring opportunities.
No.
In that game, it was more of a defensive game.
It was. If I may just take a little bit of time here, talk about. I want to thank everybody who plays ball hockey. It's a sport that we're talking about here. DCHL leagues is a ball hockey deck hockey league, and it's a tremendous sport, very inexpensive to play, and I'm very proud of the players and the team and everybody who supports ball hockey locally here. It's become a big sport here locally in the DMV area. Our league is a big part of that as well too. And the players that play are so hardcore, so great characters, great individuals, they support a lot of causes, great individuals in general. So I'm very happy and thankful for the people that we have up to play with and to associate with. Ball hockey in general. Now to our league, DCHL leagues, talk about the playoffs, the rec division finals. Yes, it is the Crazy Eights going against First Ladies Rec. The Crazy Eights, I used to be a member of the Gwendolyn Knights, my first season. And
You're the goalie. We shot the ball at your head.
I was, and the first season we actually we upset First Ladies Rec in a quarterfinal game and lost 2 in a shootout to Crazy Eights in the semifinals. Is the ones they were the 1 seeds. So I know the team very well, and I told my ex team that I expected them to lose as number 2 seed because the matchup just favored the Crazy Eights.
Well, you always expect all the top seeds to lose.
No. I mean, but I watch all these games, and I'll tell you what. When I watch, and I see what the weakness of these teams are, and even the Knights were a 2 seed and Crazy were a 3 seed. Crazy Eights were far ahead on them on their back end game. They played great defense. Their goaltender is tremendous, and the Knights have trouble scoring. It's a bad matchup for the Knights. And as you said earlier, the Crazy Eights team dominated most of the opportunities there, and they got 3 great goals, goal in the net, and got a lucky break, second goal as well too. And the Knights just could not put the puck in the net, put the ball in the net. And it's a game that was deserved to win by Crazy Eights. But that matchup scenario didn't materialize where the Knights just could not get any scoring opportunities.
I heard that. I heard Abdul, their top player, only got 1 shot the entire game.
Yeah, and that was a mistake. As I told the Crazy Eights, I'm like, the one guy you don't want to shoot in the point is Abdul. His goal came from a point shot. Beyond that, the Crazy Eights are just their game. They made sure Abdul did not get the point shot off, and their philosophy was anybody but Abdul, and it worked because the Crazy Eights shut them down, and then they won the game 3-1 and moved into the finals.
And then going on to the next game, which would be Street Sharks versus First Ladies.
Game you're part of.
Which I was a part. I was a major part of that. We had a lot of great scoring opportunities in that game. I actually had 4 breakaways in the game, believe it or not.
4 breakaways, and that's to tie the game up.
No, first and foremost, me on a breakaway is a scary thought. Because I don't even know it's a known fact that I actually hate the shootout. Mm-hmm. I'm passionately against the shootout. And,
so am I.
And I actually do not participate in the shootout if my team is ever in them. Mm-hmm. So that's how much I don't like it. So being on a breakaway, let alone 4 in one game, is crazy. But you're talking. We were talking about how you call it an upset. I brought it up with my teammates and I said, well, first off, it's over with. Let's look on the next season. Yeah, let's move on the next season. But the one thing I said, if we had Brandon and Terry in the lineup, it would have been a different game because we would have had our number 1 defenseman in there and we would have had our number 1 center in there. When you're missing your number 1 center and your number 1 defenseman, that affects you.
That absolutely.
Hashtag blame Brandon. Yeah, yes, but at the same time, certain players did not play their best games. They openly admitted they didn't play their best games for the Street Sharks. Somehow I had 4 breakaways. You were mentioning in the second period I had the golden one where I could have tied the game. Just 2 inches. Literally, if I got the goalie out of position, I went to my backhand. If I got up 2 inches higher, it would have been a goal. But the ultimate thing is that the thing that won the game for First Ladies was a moment that took place in the third period. I got one of those breakaways. I had a great scoring opportunity.
Couldn't convert. But
the bounce that the ball took off of the goalie went right onto a First Lady stick where I couldn't reach it. They counterattacked it and scored on that play. It's like the saying goes, a great scoring opportunity doesn't go your way, and then it comes back to bite you in the butt in the opposite zone. That was the play that ultimately won First Ladies the game. Can you call that an upset? No, because they got the bounces to go their way in a great comparison. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Both of those goals that the Penguins got were because of bounces. First Ladies were able to capitalize because of bounces that went their way that went against us. So if I
may jump in here, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you respectively in this case, because I thought that the First Ladies did a great job of frustrating the Street Sharks. They got the first goal, which is important. And then when you get the first goal and you're a top seed and you need to tie the game up, you press more and more. The game plan was to let them press. And the player of the game, Aubrey Moore,
the goalie,
she is an ice goalie, played over at Ivy League school. I'm not sure what Ivy League school it was, but great goalie. Probably, in my opinion, probably the best female goalie we have in our league. Okay,
yeah.
And she played for them. She played an outstanding game.
Oh yeah,
and
she made an amazing save on
the
breakaway.
And the First Ladies played a great game in keeping, besides the breakaways, to keep you guys away from the net, quality rebound shots. They had some turnovers, which created confidence for well too. But I thought they played equally well as you did, if not better. And it was an upset. And I get the fact that you're missing Brandon, and I get that.
We're missing Terry and Rachel.
Yeah,
as well.
I get that, and that would have been a big factor, and that's a very, very good point to make. But every team,
full lineup,
every team in the playoffs was players,
Yeah.
So to me, it's not an excuse, but
also one thing also, and I kept preaching it in the second and third intermissions to my team, was one of the things I noticed that the First Ladies were doing. Crazy Eights better be listening. Is our breakouts were horrible.
Yes.
Because we were trying to throw a breakout pass, and they would get in the way of it to keep it in the zone.
Very well schooled.
You can't do that with this type of team.
Absolutely.
You actually have to move it out. You're going to have to take it across the blue line and then throw it.
Makes smart passes. The First Ladies do a great job of forechecking.
Oh no, there were a lot of smart passes. There were smart passes. They were just getting in the way of them still.
Credit Angelo Turano, the coach of First Ladies, for the system where they forecheck very well. They know where to go to, and if you're a team that does not know how to play good, strong, high IQ hockey, FL, I'm calling FL for sure, First Ladies Rec, they will create turnovers and go back at you. So they're a very good team in that regards, and they did that very well. So I think it's going to be that's about the game itself. FL Rec versus Crazy Eights, it's usually a great matchup. Yeah, and I'm not sure if Aubrey's going to be in net. I'm assuming she's going to be there. This is a very tough game. The issue with the First Ladies game, they got to score goals. And Wendy was there, and she scored a couple of goals, found 3 goals against you guys. If they can get a couple of goals early, FL Rec, they have a chance to win this game.
Well,
it's going to be a low-scoring affair.
Let me ask you something, and this is a topic that a lot of people may have. Take out goalies, because we know that goalies are hard to come by and stuff like that. But for a team like the First Ladies, having people like Wendy and Nancy play, who are considered D1, D2 players, how can they play in the rec league?
Because it's all ladies team number one. It's all ladies team number 2.
Because I could see people kind of going, yeah, but they're too good for the division.
No,
the division.
They're part of the travel team concept overall, and that team finished 5th in division with Wendy and Nancy on that team. Okay, I could turn a question around those players who hasn't. Well, you have Arian and Jeff and Jeff Carter and Jeff. They're not direct players either. So why are they allowed to play in Street Sharks? It's to me it's an irrelevant point because there are players that are going to be.
Well, I'm asking a question that others do ask, and that's why I asked the question. I'm looking at the camera now. I am not picking on anybody specifically. I am just asking a question that other people ask.
And I'm asking a question as the commissioner. Every team has got players that probably shouldn't be there, but we can't force players out because it's a social league. It's a social league, and then I haven't pushed Jeff out. Jeff is a goalie; should not be playing in rec for Street Sharks. and he's been playing for 7, 8, 10 seasons. I haven't pushed Jeff out yet because you know what? I understand the social league, so it goes both ways. So
Yeah, well, not only that, but like in the conversation that him and I had, if we don't have a goalie, who does he get replaced with? Because again, goalies are paramount.
Yes, yes,
and I'm not.
They're important.
And I'm not stepping back between the pipes because my body can't handle being between the pipes anymore.
To go back to the game at hand, should be a low-scoring affair. Should be a great game. If FL can score goals, which is going to be their Achilles heel here, they can score goals. They have a chance to win this game. It'll be a great game to watch. Crazy Eights were my pick this season in the playoffs. I don't post my picks publicly because I referee some of these games, and people get very, very panicky when I make picks. I don't pick their teams. I'm not sure why. But
First
anyway,
ladies, if you lose, you know why.
my pick for the playoffs started before the playoffs started was Crazy Eights because I think their team is they're on a roll right now. They got good chemistry going, and they're going to be missing a couple of key players. I'm aware of that. That's going to hurt them. So the FL will have a chance to win this game tomorrow, and if they score goals, they will win this game tomorrow. But it should be a fun, low-scoring affair. Both goaltenders, Peter Lang for Crazy Eights and Aubrey Moore, will be the stars of the show.
All right, and then going into what is formerly known as the Pro Division, now
D3, yes.
Which then next season will be split into two divisions called
Yes.
D4 and D3.
We have now
love
five divisions.
as the host of your TV show as well, you love to make things very complicated. By the way, has any episodes aired yet?
Not yet. We're still editing. We have 3 episodes taped, and just be patient.
Oh wait, well,
Holly.
August 3rd, we got to finish taping the 3rd episode.
Yeah,
so.
we'll work it out.
It'll just be me and you probably.
But to go back to the D3 matchup, we have the top seed Stingrays going against Irie Prep Assassins, who upset the Upper Deckers in a very, very convincing fashion. Shocking score in that semifinal game. So IPA against Stingrays, it should be a rock'em, sock'em, tumultuous
a rock'em,
game.
sock'em, jock'em,
Tumultuous
robots game.
Because there are players on both. There's a little bad blood on both sides on certain players, and I'll be roughing that game at you as well, so I'll keep an eye on that. But it should be a pretty intimidating, physically type game. We don't allow checking in our leagues, but it could get out of hand, so we'll keep an eye on that.
It should be. I'm now one of your new referees in the Monday Night League. Do you need me to come in and referee this game?
We've got a card.
Do you want me to be the special enforcer like they do in WWE or something
I think
that?
we'll be okay. But it's going to come down if the Stingrays' top players like Felice and Kenny Alvarado are there. Chris Day's there. They'll be a tough team to beat. But IPA, let me give my hats off to IPA. They are such a good two-way, solid blue-collar team. I was very impressed by them this season. They don't have tremendous goal scorers, but they have players. Every player on that team plays hard, runs both ways, and contributes to the team. So you have to be very, very impressed by IPA. So to give them, I'm not going to pick. I think IPA, if they can just stay patient, because Stingrays do tend to create some turnovers, give them some turnovers, and their goalie is young. If they stay patient, IPA can win this game. The question is how patient can they stay, and can they keep the puck out of their own net? That's going to be a key question for them.
Now, going on to the formerly known as Elite Division,
Correct.
D2.
Now it's D2.
Now it's D2.
Rematch from last year.
Rematch. Oh, we had one rematch.
Yes, Funkmasters versus the Untouchables.
And who won last year? Was Funkmaster won last year?
No, Untouchables upset
won.
Funkmasters as the lowest, one of the lowest seeds. It was a tremendous upset. Great team effort last season, and they're going to meet again. And this time, Funkmaster was the number 1 seed. The Untouchables were the 3 seed. And I, on this show and also on our hockey show, I predict the fact the Untouchables were one of the teams that were bottom ranked in the D2 division for a couple of reasons. Because number one, they have players who miss a lot of games. John Gramlich and Joe Shea and Mark Mager. In fact, they miss tons of games. When those guys aren't there, UT struggles.
And there is a limit of you have to play a minimum of 4 games to be eligible for the playoffs.
All those players were eligible. Now, this season, more than ever, all those players made a lot of games this season. And not only that, they're making all the playoff games. So when those guys, the trio of John Gramlich, Joe Shea, and Mark Mager show up, that's a different team. That's almost a D1 team. And that's why they're on a roll right now. And if they show up this Sunday, tomorrow, Funkmasters should be another great game. I mean, Funkmasters is top seed, but that there's a lot of speed in that game. A lot of speed in that game as well, too. Eric T., the goalie for Funk, will be tested. So I think it's going to be a great game to watch. It's going to be our best up-and-down game overall.
All right. And then going into the Premier Division, which is now known
D1.
as D1, what is the championship game matchup?
Wow, talk about 2 big rivals overall, Puck University and the Babylon Warriors. So that's a game where, It's a fierce rivalry, very heated rivalry. A lot of players on that team aren't exactly friends, from what I know. So it's a game that's going to be very, very tightly called. Officiating is going to be key here. So from that standpoint, we can talk about that game. Andrew Kramer, top player. Babylon Warriors are loaded. And so are
so I'm going to have to cut you off for a second because somebody actually called in.
Sure.
And mysterious caller who won't tell Dixon who you are. Please tell me who you are.
Hello, this is JC from Washington, D.C.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. I'm following your show. I just have a question for your guest.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, I've been following the league for some time now, and I've been a little surprised that, the Street Sharks have torn through the regular season. If I can go back to the rec league discussion.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. The Street Sharks sort of tear through the regular season, but they sort of run into trouble with the playoffs. I wondered if Mr. Suggs had any insight onto that.
And not ask the Street Shark. Okay, go for it.
well, JC, thank you for the question. Playoffs, just like the NHL playoffs, are a different animal. And this league is pretty competitively balanced in general. The Street Sharks had a great regular season this year. They were undefeated. They had 2 ties. But as I mentioned privately, I don't post my picks publicly or my analysis publicly. The Sharks got a lot of wins, and they were very fortunate with those games. A lot of close 1-goal games. The bouncing went the right way.
The character building.
Yeah,
games.
But the record was a little misleading. The Sharks were not really a number 1 seed. It was a pretty compact division. So to me, in the playoffs, when you have to get some goal scoring, and you have to work on defense, the Sharks played better defense this season. Give them credit for that. Team defense was terrific. But again, I think in the playoffs, teams are able to expose some of the turnover issues the Sharks had. And the Sharks forwards, like the Caps forwards, unfortunately disappeared in the playoffs and couldn't get the goal scoring done. So that's my personal, that's what happened. Goal scoring was tight. The goal scorer for the Sharks did not score goals. And the turnovers, just enough to propel them to a loss.
What was it? I think I was 4th on scoring on the team.
Yes.
And then I think Arian was 2nd. And I think Brandon was 1st, and Terry was tied for 2nd with Arian, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
When you take away half the scoring on your team, it kind of it does play a factor. But
it does.
Not only that, but I think I'm getting tongue tied trying to say what I want to say. But first off, good question, JC. For Suds.
Thanks for the question, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, but I think just some fatigue took at play because not only that, but if you notice in the 3rd period of the game against First Ladies, we had guys just walking back instead of hustling back. Mm-hmm. And honestly, and actually that leads to a good question, and we'll get to D1 again in a moment, but it brings up a good question I want to bring. Yes, this is a social league, but there should be times, and at least in my opinion, when you get to those crunch times, when he says, the Street Sharks are a great team in the regular season, but can't get it done in the playoffs. We've had the conversation, but we've never executed it. Shortening the bench, you see it done in the NHL. You see, and I understand.
It's a team-run game. So
I understand it's a social league. Everyone pays to play. But when you get into a crunch, like in a 3rd period, last 7 minutes of the period, you're trying to get a goal just to tie it.
Well,
it's a tough thing.
we talk about NHL playoffs. What's key in NHL playoffs? Matchups, right? The Sharks had a bad matchup. They had a bad matchup. I mean,
even though we beat them 2-0 and 3-0.
Yeah, I mean because you adding to a good team that plays good defense, forechecks well, and plays good.
To be brutally honest, the number 1 reason why we lost was their goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. It's the NHL playoffs. You run to a hot goalie too.
That was the number 1 reason why we lost. It was their goalie. If Arian had great scoring opportunities. I know Jeff Carter had great scoring opportunities. Sorry, I had to use their last name because we have 2 Jeffs on our team. I don't want to say Jeff, and then everyone thinks our goalie had a great scoring opportunity.
Jeff with a J and Jeff with a G.
Yeah. But, we all had great opportunities, and obviously I had the 4 breakaways, which is a rarity for me. But
well, let me go back to John's. A big example, John. It's just not the Sharks. The Knights were a top team too, and they got the wrong matchup. So it's all about matchups, and even in DCHL, we talk about matchups in playoffs and NHL, NBA, NFL. It's about also it matters in social rec leagues as well too. The matchups were bad last year. The matchups were good for you guys. You guys made the finals. This year the matches were bad. And if the matches are bad, you have to really overcome those matchups, or you're going to lose.
I'm not going to lie, I'm still rooting for Shut Your Five Hole for next season. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk, it's just that they were, one of 2 teams to go completely winless?
They'll be, I guarantee they'll be better next year.
Yeah, they're one of 2 teams that went winless, and I liked it. I'm pulling for
Derek, that team is such a great team. Derek is a great captain. They have fun. As a commissioner and someone who runs a league, people always want to win, and people always want to be stacked teams, and it's a tough battle to overcome and fight every run out. Derek and the Shut Your 5-0 team, they just come out and have fun. They play hard. They don't get discouraged. I love that team, and it's time that they get some wins, and we'll take care of them.
I was rooting for them to upset Crazy Eights.
Wasn't going to happen, but yes.
I was rooting for them, but
go back to D1.
Real quick, sure. D1. We got a few minutes left in this segment.
Sure. This is a game that's going to be, if there's a warning sign on air and a warning sign for referees, this is a game that's going to be very, very tough to officiate. So we've got our 2 best referees, Kevin Shea and Carlos Cruz, refereeing this game for us. I'll be doing the play-by-play in this game. All games will be taped, by the way, tomorrow. It's going to come down to, both teams have tons of scores. Josh Lerner, Sean Miller, Jake Willery on Puck University. On the other side, you've got Andrew Kramer, you got AJ, you got Zach, and Brian Keefe on defense. It's going to come down to which goaltender can stand tall, and which team defense can limit the shots. Because it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It's going to be a very speedy game here. And if the referees control this game and keep them playing hockey, it should be a great game to show on TV.
And to close on a funny note, just to throw this out there, speaking of filming all the things, just a word of advice from what happened Monday night. Make sure that you have a camera person and a play-by-play person, because it is very hard to learn all the players' names after meeting them for the very first time, work a camera, and try to do play-by-play
Let me clue folks in on what Black's talking about here. Mike actually was asked to film our roller championship game and do play-by-play on it. And as you know, we have about 4 or 5 play-by-play announcers. I'm one of them. Jason Stick is the voice of DCHL. Kevin Shea, Joe Shea. Every one of them knows how to operate the camera and call play-by-play at the same time. This is Michael's first experience, so he struggled with that particular endeavor, which is fine. I understand that. So he will learn.
I don't work cameras. I just work microphones.
It is. Yeah, it's something that you have to do a couple of times to get a feel for it. But most of the time, we are a low budget, without a profit league, and it's simple one camera, wide shot, angle shoot for us.
Because to be brutally honest, if I had somebody else moving the camera back and forth, and I was just able to watch the play, because I was actually also having trouble watching the screen to see who it actually was.
It takes time.
It's hard.
It's first time. It is hard. So that's what Michael's talking about in that regard.
Yeah.
But we've got Joe Shea and myself, and I think Tway's going to help out as well too. Assistant Commissioner Tway to call some games. We'll tape all 4 games tomorrow. It should be a fun day. We kick it off with the 3-hour consolation tournament where people who've lost the first round of playoffs, they get to play for free in a tournament we put together. So it's a great way to kick off the day, and then we're going to crown 4 different champions tomorrow, so it should be a fun day.
And speaking of tournaments, we'll have you on for a quick segment in the near future, because we know you have a tournament coming up in September, and there's a tournament next month, but I'm going to let those guys talk about which you and I have to talk off air with them to continue working.
Stay tuned. Some big tournaments coming up.
So there's 2 big tournaments coming up in the next 2 months.
There's 3. I will just keep it there.
I know of 2 of them. So with that, Studs, thank you so much for coming on.
Fun.
And I'll see you Monday, because I got a referee roller hockey.
Who refs roller hockey for us?
Yeah, I just started. So with that, Dixon, take us to break, buddy.
God help us all.
Looking for that little treasure in Germantown. I couldn't use my juice is loose joke, because I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, the juice is loose. Anytime I'm doing decisions, I'm talking about Studs because he sweats like a monk.
Oh, I do.
And you weren't sweating.
I know. I got my towel today, so.
All right.
Massive sweat.
Damn, you just got floored.
That was good. Good content.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Stacy Jordan from Hot Real Husbands Largo is watching.
Oh.
So we'll have to do a shout out.
I don't see. I have
So,
no say
It's one of the shows here.
Drink apple juice because OJ will kill you.
All right. Switch seats.
Now,
with
yes.
Bernie.
Do I still stay here?
Yeah.
For now? Okay.
Yeah. But we need Bernie back in the focus.
And let me know when I can leave. So.
Yeah, you can leave now if you want.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good. Just cut
Thank
off.
you guys. Appreciate it. Thank
No
you.
problem. Just cut off his mic. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Experience Hockey Top, where for some reason, Dixon has just cut off the music and not let it play all the way out like I actually preset it to do. Good job, Dixon. Good job. Good job. And of course, we want to thank Suds from the DCHL for coming on. And we also want to do a special shout out to Stacy Jordan from Real Husbands of Largo, who's actually tuning in via Facebook Live. Hi, Stacy. How you doing, man? I hope you're learning a lot about hockey right now. So, you know, I was actually watching their show on Thursday night. Good stuff. I kind of got scared a little bit, but we'll save that for off air as to why I got scared a little bit. Stacy knows why I told him. But real quick, we want to do a little not DCHL, we just talked about that. NWHL.
You still got the ladies beating you in the semifinals on your mind.
Yeah, I do.
Wrong.
Yeah, I do. And, yeah, Russell, I'd be down to have you on the Street Sharks, so come on down, bud. But real quick, in the NWHL, we had a lot of signings and two newsworthy things that happened. First off, Sydney Daniels, forward, signed with the Boston Pride. Her father, Scott, actually played in the NHL for a little over 6 seasons for the Hartford Whalers, Philadelphia Flyers, and New Jersey Devils. Forwards Kristen Lewicki, Kaylin Schroka, and Sarah Shrub all signed with the Buffalo Beauts. Interesting fact about them, all three of them are actually played on the same line together at Adrian College. And then defenseman Paige Harrington signed with the Boston Pride. She actually spent the last 2 seasons with the Buffalo Beauts. So she's bringing Isabel Cup championship game experience to the Boston Pride from the Buffalo Beauts. The Connecticut Whale announced that they will be returning to Stamford, Connecticut to play all their home games at Terry Connors Ice Rink. And then forward Dana Trevino signed with the Boston Pride. Last season she was with the Connecticut Whale. Also this past week, a lot of people just going to Boston from other teams. And Suds is locked out of the studio now.
He's wandering around.
Womp womp. Dixon, go help them. You're not doing anything, bum. And then the phone rings.
Ask me if it's housekeeping.
Housekeeping, but going back to the NWHL, you had the NWHL announced new guidelines regarding roster composition for the 2017-18 season. All NWHL teams may now consist up to 25 players, 17 of which will dress for the games. And then there will be no more practice players. If they're signed to a contract, they'll be considered a regular team player. So you can have up to 100 players now in the NWHL with these new guidelines. And then defenseman Courtney Burke re-signed with the New York Riveters. Defenseman Jenny Ryan signed with the New York Riveters. And then forward Jessica Sibley, defenseman Kelly Seward and Colleen Murphy, and goalie Julie DeTonda all signed with the Buffalo Beauts. So a lot of shaking and baking going on in the NWHL. Paige Harrington, who just won the Isabel Cup with the Buffalo Beauts, now going to the competition, which is the Boston Pride.
So you're saying she's pulling a Nick Bonino?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But she's going from the winner to the runner-up. But interesting thing, I think it's safe to announce it now, ladies and gentlemen. As you all know, we cover the National Women's Hockey League on this show. I'm happy to announce that on August 12th, I know it's a little bit away, but on August 12th, we are going to have Anya Battolino, who plays for the Connecticut Whale, but is also the director of the National Women's Hockey League Players Association. So we'll be talking about, the games being streamed on Twitter, the new guidelines to the, the rosters, like all the new stuff that's
expansion.
Expansion, potential expansion to DC. But the out of market games, like the one that they're doing in Pittsburgh. So we'll be talking with Anya about all of that. We're excited to have her on. We've been talking to her about doing this for a couple months. We finally have it official. So August 12th, you don't want to miss it. We'll have Anya Battolino from the National Women's Hockey League on the show for the full hour too. So if you have questions that you want to ask her after we ask her about all of our stuff,
might be a good way for people that aren't familiar with the NWHL to get an education on it, is so you can catch up to us. So when we start covering it more, I'm getting more in tune with a lot of the teams and everything, and mainly my women's hockey league experiences mainly when I watched the Olympics or the World Championships. I know the USA gals and the Canadian
and
gals,
especially
and now they're branching out to other deals.
And especially the fact that we're probably not going to see the Olympic players on any of the rosters. You know, this is a great time.
Opportunity.
This is an opportunity for a lot of these players, especially the ones that are now signing out of college.
Right.
So,
speaking of Olympics, I think they made an announcement this week that officially that the AHL guys that are on AHL only contracts will be allowed to play in the Olympics.
2-year deals.
Yeah.
Anyone under a 2-year or not 2-year, 2-way contract.
That one's still being ironed out.
Yeah.
If
From
it's an AHL 2-way deal, they're still ironing out whether or not that's going to be the case. But AHL only.
Yeah.
And I think a couple weeks ago I mentioned about Chris Bourque signing an AHL only deal. I think part of the reason why was to be eligible to be one of the leaders of Team USA, because with the NHL players not playing in the Olympics this year, it's going to be a great opportunity for guys that might be fringe NHL guys to have a great Olympic tournament. And if they're unsigned or they're playing in Europe or playing in different leagues, or like Chris Bourque been saddled in the AHL for so long, if they have a great tournament,
it's a proving ground.
Someone might be like, hey, come in and help us in the cup run. You're on fire right now.
It's a proving ground.
Yep.
And that's what the Olympics should be. The Olympics should be a proving ground for guys who want to want to make it into the NHL. And, you know, I find it funny that a lot of the Russians are still going, yeah, but, you know, Ovechkin and Kuznetsov and a lot of the other Russians in the NHL, they're still going to go on vacation for 3 weeks in February to play in the Olympics. Honestly, I can't wait to see what the NHL puts out as if you go, this is what happens to you as the player, and this is what happens to the owner for the owner allowing you to go.
Yeah,
I'm very interested in seeing what the league will come out with.
Yeah, I think Donald Fair was on a couple last week talking. He wasn't going into any specifics on all that, but he said that is something that is being addressed by a case-by-case basis. So it's going to be a lot of
it shouldn't be a case-by-case basis. Well, it should be a flat-out...
It should be.
Yeah, it should be a flat-out, this is how it's going to be, end of story. And by the way, hi Chris, good to see you on the Facebook live feed, my friend.
Absolutely, Chris. I remember that 1980 team and all the guys that were getting signed off of it. You saw Ken Morrow go to the Islanders, actually win a Stanley Cup the same year. Jim Craig had that exhibition series with the Atlanta Flames going around to different... he actually took like shots before the game before anyone else got on the ice. It's like, hey, look at me, I'm Jim Craig, Olympic gold medalist and everything. And
you had Dave Christian who went to the Caps.
He went to Winnipeg.
He
eventually came to the Caps.
Yeah,
Caps didn't sign anyone out of the Olympics originally.
No.
I think Neil Broughton and Steve Kristoff both signed with Minnesota, and there was a bunch of guys sprinkled around the league. Pavlich, the Rangers, some of them were drafted already, so they were obligated, but some of them were technically free agents and were able to sign wherever they wanted.
And actually, a lot of them, you know, even though they're drafted, the biggest thing was that they were not allowed to sign with the team in order to participate in the Olympics.
Yep.
That was a key. That was a key factor in that as well.
Exactly, because Herb Brooks wanted the focus to be on the team.
Not on the guy who got signed, but like the New York Rangers and the Minnesota North Stars and stuff like that.
Exactly. Actually, segueing a little bit to another kind of interesting news, and we just had the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Saw something online today that the other day that there could be possibility that a dark horse city could be your 32nd team in the NHL. The Lone Star State might get another team in Houston, especially with the Toyota Center finally being able to possibly be up for sale. The longtime owner of the Houston Rockets is getting up in age and is considering selling, especially now with everything he's doing with the basketball team. It's an NHL-ready rink. It's something, and it's perfect because the Central Division is the only place with not 8 teams. So that might be a great fit with all the history of the Houston Aeros in the secondary leagues. It's a possibility.
You mean the World Hockey Association?
Yes. Yep. WHA.
So, secondary league. I see how you did that, sir.
Well, I mean, because they've had history in other parts too. I mean,
but the biggest one was the WHA.
Yes.
Everyone knows what the WHA is. Well, if they paid attention. Actually, there's a good
Okay.
movie.
Yeah.
There's a Hallmark movie made about Gordie Howe going from the Detroit Red Wings front office to being, playing on the Houston Aeros with his sons.
Because I think that's where Minnesota's farm team was before they moved it to the Quad Cities area in Iowa. I think they moved it from Houston to Iowa a couple of years back. So that's what that was my thinking. I knew they were in WHA as well, but it should be interesting. I mean, Seattle and Quebec City, Chris, definitely are the two hotbeds. But again, unless someone relocates or they jumble it up a little bit, it's going to be tough to get either of those cities into the scheduling matrix, so to speak. So.
And real quick, our boy Russell from Full Tilt Rangers blog. Russell, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you both been?
We're surviving. Having this deal with Suds talking about my hockey team losing last weekend. Just normal stuff.
I get that. My team's last season, our playoff game is this week, so we're gonna have to battle the team with 6 of the top 10 scorers in our division. We're gonna have fun with that.
Hey, if you want, you could just do a call up real quick, and I could just pop up in New York real quick and play for you. I mean, I'm really good at getting breakaways, apparently,
And missing them.
and missing them.
No truth to the rumor, Russell. You facilitated the deal where Kevin Shattenkirk gets to wear his 22 next year.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was a big deal. What can I say? I had great negotiating skills, right?
I tell you.
What's up, Mike? I was going through my hockey cards while you guys were on before. I got a Mike Green card from the 2009-10 season where he scored all those goals. So when I see you at DerbyCon, I'll give it to you.
All right, yeah. If anyone's wondering what DerbyCon is, that is a convention up in Morristown, New Jersey. X75 Productions, which produces this radio show, is actually a sponsor partner with the convention. So we actually do a lot of work together. So.
And it's funny, Russell, due to Brent Burns going in the tank the last quarter of the season, Mike Green is still the last guy to score 30 goals from the blue line in the NHL.
Wow, I actually didn't know that.
He was at
that Caps team was something to watch there.
Burns was at 27 at the trade deadline, and I think he scored 2 the rest of the season. So everyone thought he was going to be in the mid-30s by the end of the season.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have won the. I'm still saying he shouldn't have won the Norris. I don't agree with those big offensive guys winning the Norris. I like the guys who are the more balanced guys. The ones that aren't going to score all the time but are able to help the offense.
Yeah, you want guys also, good plus minus, don't make mistakes, don't do all the giveaways, things like that. It's not always the high scoring, it's the most solid. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, like in my opinion, of the 3 defensemen that were up for the Norris, Victor Hedman should have been the one to win it.
He was fantastic this year.
Oh, he's fantastic every year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't have every defenseman as the top Norris guy at the same time, too. So it's very hard to do that. So.
Yeah, real quick, Russell, I saw Kevin Klein, the rumored, he was going to retire and then signed with Switzerland. That actually came to pass. The second half of that came past this week. And I saw Brandon Peary also went overseas, too. So definitely a little bit of a changeover, but with all the moves you guys you made in the early part of free agency, it definitely made sense that there was going to be some turnover.
And real quick, you got 1 minute to answer the question. I'm sorry.
All right, 1 minute. Here we go. I felt like Kevin Klein knew he didn't have a role on this team next year. With the acquisition of Kevin Shattenkirk and the re-signing of Brendan Smith, along with getting Tony DeAngelo from the Arizona Coyotes for Derek Stepan, he wasn't going to beat out Stoller hoping for that 6th spot, and that 6th spot could very well go to another rookie if they decide to move Mark Stoller, buy him out, but. You never know. It's just Klein, we didn't have a spot, and that's what Brandon Peary, after the first month of the season, just didn't have a place on the team. So, and I'll miss Kevin Klein, Brandon Peary, not a huge loss for me, though.
All right. Well, with that, Russell, thank you so much for calling in, buddy.
You got it. Talk to you guys soon.
We'll talk soon, buddy. All right. And with that, I want to make an announcement here with our last 2 minutes. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, starting on August 1st, the Experience Hockey Talk is coming to Patreon. For those of you who don't know what Patreon is a place where you, the fans, the listeners or viewers, however you pay attention to the show, it is a way for you to contribute to the show so we can continue to give you more content. We have many things planned. Stay tuned to the Experience Hockey Talk Facebook page. We already put out the announcement yesterday for it on there. I'll be posting up a video with a press release as well for that as well to explain everything that we'll be doing with Patreon. We changed our Twitter handle to at TXHT_hockey, and our Facebook now, you can find it at facebook.com/TXHT hockey. So it's a lot easier now to find our pages and Twitter account. And again, we will be coming to Patreon August 1st. Stay tuned to the Facebook page. I will have more information up there in the upcoming 2 to 3 days, because I'm actually having to work very fast on getting a lot of things taken care of. So with that, good show, old chap.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, I will tell you already, next week we're going to be talking about all the new Adidas hockey jerseys and other random stuff.
I hear we have a very special guest. Stitches Dixon will be doing his magic with the jerseys.
Yep. Dixon will finally make his on-camera debut.
Much anticipated.
Not really. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we will see you on the ice.
Shit, hockey fans, you want serious hockey talk? Then listen to the Experience Hockey Talk on the WBGR Sports Network. Join host